Hi, everyone. I hope you had a great first week of classes, and I am here to give you some announcements for the upcoming week, week 2 of our course. So I'm going to start off with a little reflection on the first week, then go into your first 2 perusal assignments, give you some feedback, a few shout outs. Then I want to talk a little bit about your research proposal paper, an assignment that is going to be one of your major assignments for the course, due at the end, just to tie that through, give you some things to think about based on what you've read so far, give you some reminders about registering for city training, and then leave you with your checklist for the week. So last week we did our introductions. I really enjoy getting to know all of you and reading all about you. Everyone did such a great job. So thank you to everyone for your awesome introduction pages. And some of you went ahead and left comments for other classmates. So I really appreciate those of you that took the time to read through your classmates' introduction slide and leave a comment for them. So if you haven't had a chance to go back in and check, someone may have left you a comment. I'm still responding to some of your comments on my slides too. So I will be in there this week as well. But great job. And then this way, as you're working in perusal, you can always flip back here just to see who you are talking to and help you continue to make connections as we work through the course. But again, special shout out to those of you that took the time to read and leave nice comments for your classmates. So moving on to perusal, we have done 2 perusals so far, and I was blown away by how well you jumped in, dove right in, even though this may have been a new platform for some of you. Really excellent work with your perusals. Let me actually, well, I'll switch this around in a moment. So as you can see, I'm filming this video before the deadline for perusal 2 is up, so I don't have updated stats, but as you can see, you as a class left over 180 comments and spent an average of 1 hour and almost 20 minutes engaging with this lecture. So there were really great discussion questions, great questions. Again, if you want to go back and search through my comments to read any of my questions, you can see those there to see that. And I think that everyone did a great job. Again, most people did a great job and got their full credit for this one. So again, the goal is to leave between 3 and 5 high quality comments, really engaging with the content, making sure that you're watching the lecture, reading through the slides, and then answering 1 to 2 discussion questions, and then trying the multiple choice questions. The multiple choice questions and the discussion questions will help prepare you for our midterm. Now, I do have some shout outs. So we've done 2 perusals so far. I would estimate that the perusal would take you about between 45 minutes to a little bit over an hour, but some people have been really engaging with perusal. I can tell that they're going back, responding to classmates, reading everyone's annotations, and just really going above and beyond. So I have a few shout outs for people who have engaged with perusal for over 2.5 hours. Jasmine, Gayla, Brandy, Thaddeus, Kelsey, Kira, Mary, Myra, and Courtney. And some of you actually 5, 6 hours. So really excellent. I appreciate your leadership. And also some people, of course, we have a goal of 3 to 5 annotations per assignment, and we've only done 2, but some people have left over 12 or more comments. Some people actually in the 30s. So here, Gayla, Thaddeus, Kelsey, Mary, Kimberly, Darren, Amber, Brianna, and Katie. So thank you so much. And again, everyone has been doing a really great job. If you want to go back in and filter, I don't know if I just said this, but filter for my name. You can read any responses to questions because I have been going in to answer questions. I'm still working through perusal 2, but perusal 1, I see I have 1 unread conversation here, but I'll go back and answer that as well. So I did want to draw your attention to the perusal quizzes. So again, these are for practice. Now, if you miss a question, again, it's for practice, so it's not going to hurt your score, but if you do well, it can help your score. So the correct answers to the perusal quizzes are going to be released after the deadline. So while you're working on the perusal before the deadline, you can go back and change your answer. Let's say that you took a first pass, you answered it, and then you went back into perusal and you're reading through your classmates' annotations, and or maybe you read something in the text that makes you change your mind. So you can go back and adjust those questions. But after the deadline is passed, you won't no longer be able to change your answers, but it will show you the correct answer. So I wanted to go over a few questions based on the quizzes from what I've looked at so far, just to give some whole group feedback. But again, go ahead and check yours for specific details about how you did. Okay, so this is the quiz for perusal number 1. I wanted to go over question number 1 and question number 4. So number 1 is about the purpose. Why do educational researchers engage in research? Why is it important to practitioners? Now, A has the word prove. That was discussed in the chapter, how no research proves anything is and instead we say it has evidence to support or to reject something. Now, similar to prove, guaranteed, those absolutes. So strong research and ethical research always leaves room for it to be replicated and for a finding to have a more accurate interpretation. So prove, guarantee, it's not going to be any of those. And then it's actually not important. No. So the correct answer here, C, it can help practitioners reflect critically on claims about educational practice. So this is something that a lot of you did a great job making connections with your annotations this week. And then lastly, question number 4, an example of mixed methods research. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well once I get back to my reflection slides about the first 2 assignments. It's really important that you continue to, as you read each chapter, the way that the authors structure it is they talk about how the content of that chapter applies to quantitative design, qualitative design, and mixed methods. So it's really will be helpful for you and help you just make sure that you are on the right track for the midterm, for your research proposal, your article critique, and for the final exam, if you have a really good understanding of the differences and the distinctions of each of those 3 genres of research. So mixed research is going to have an element of quantitative and an element of qualitative. So if we look at choice A, an in-depth interview, interviews are open-ended, so that is a qualitative data collection method. So we know that this part is going to be qualitative. And then a structured questionnaire is, you can think of that as like a survey. So there will be maybe 10 to 30 questions. And for each of those, you choose maybe a Likert scale, 1 to 5, or you have a structured answer. So since it is like a survey close-ended, it would be a quantitative measure. So this one is the example of mixed research. Now, B is quantitative questionnaire. As you can see, quantitative, so that's not mixed, that's in the quantitative bucket. In-depth case study, this sounds to me like a qualitative design based on the details that they gave here. Now here, a causal comparative research method. We know that if we want to demonstrate a cause and effect relationship, the only method that can argue that they have identified a causal relationship is a quantitative design, so it can't be that. Okay, let's go on to chapter 2. I meant perusal number 2. Okay, so for perusal number 2, I want to go over questions number 1, 2, and 6. So again, you can see that big idea that I keep on coming back to, qualitative versus quantitative. Chapters 4 and 5 are something that you should be going back to, particularly as you craft your research proposal and do your article critique. A lot of the ideas in chapters 4 and 5 are built upon in the rest of the book. And so you can come back and maybe reread those chapters again before the midterm and even before the final, just to really solidify those ideas as you continue to build your content knowledge about research. So a qualitative research problem focuses on exploring. So qualitative research is exploratory, it is inductive, it is trying to deeply understand a process or events. So explaining events and predicting events and describing relationships, those are talking about the relationship between variables. So these are more associated with quantitative. C is definitely the strongest answer here. I see how explaining events perhaps could, based on some qualitative questions, fall under that, but exploring some process or event, a qualitative design is the only design that can effectively accomplish that goal. Now, a quantitative research problem focuses on exploring a process or event. No, that's qualitative. Explaining or predicting, it definitely can do that. Understanding subjective insider points of view. That is associated with a qualitative design, understanding a participant's perspective about something, what life is like from their vantage point. Reasons for mixed research methods. No, not that one. And then number 6, if your proposed data analysis involves coding and searching for relationships and data collected from observations, interviews, documents, film, and so on, you have proposed a what kind of study. So here we have the choices: qualitative, quantitative, correlational. We're looking for coding, relationships, patterns, and then here, interviews, documents, films. This is qualitative. So let me show you in the text something that I think will be really helpful as you continue to think about the differences between qualitative and quantitative. Okay, we are looking at table 2.1 from chapter 2. And so here you can see the emphasis of quantitative, mixed, and qualitative research. So this column is quantitative, this is qualitative, and this is mixed research. So here you can see confirmatory, exploratory, bottom up. So ontology, how the nature of truth is understood, objective versus subjective. Epistemology, how they view knowledge. And then, so here, this might be helpful, most common research objectives. You can look here, the interest, the focus, the nature of observation. So, and then also the form of data collected. So this is a great way for you to check and just make sure that you are on the right track, particularly with data collection, precise measurement, using structured and validated data collection instruments versus as in-depth interviews, participant observation, field notes, and open-ended questions. So this is something that might be helpful. Another thing that might be helpful are some of the tables in chapter 4, table 4.1 and 4.2 for methods like the criteria to evaluate quantitative and qualitative research. Let me show you those. Okay, and so the last thing that I wanted to remind you about is registering for city training. I left a detailed video about this last week. You are going to click the register button. Then you are going to type in Georgia State University, agree to the terms of service, terms of use, and then you are, once you create your username and password, you will be able to search for a course. And so you are going to choose group 2. All the other questions, go ahead and select no. Again, go ahead and watch the video if you're having trouble with registering for that. And then you will upload your certificate by June 12th. Okay. So that is the city training. And so on to your checklist for the week. By Wednesday, you're going to read chapter 6 in the intro to part 2 and complete perusal number 3. Now, perusal number 3 is condensed. So for this one, you only need to watch the lecture and leave 1 to 2 annotations, since the bulk of your time is going to be spent on the city training. So you'll notice perusal 3 is shorter. And then by Sunday, we are going to have more, a little bit heavier reading that for that day, chapters 7, 8, and 9, and you will do perusal number 4. So again, if you want to submit something for your research proposal, I will take a look at that, and I will be in perusal to talk to you. So please let me know if you have any questions. Bye-bye.